Hello.
Hi.
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Today, our guest is for sure one of the best sports broadcaster, TV host, and reporter that you can see behind the mic on UFC, ESPN, and NFL on Fox. Girl who is the best to conjure up everything that happens inside and outside the octagon. And behind this great storyteller is a heart and educated researcher, amazing work ethic, and a great personality. Her name is Megan Olivi. Welcome to Face to Face.
Hey, thank you so much. That was very kind. I appreciate it so much.
How are you? What are you doing today?
I'm good. I am just working out and hanging out with my dog a little bit today. My husband will come back from some errands, so today is a very rare day off. So just hanging out.
Just enjoying in your free time.
Exactly.
I will start this conversation with previous UFC 273 night. Amazing fights as always. I can even choose the one to mention, but let's talk about main card and general impression of that Jacksonville night.
Oh my gosh. There's something really special about Jacksonville, Florida, because we always have such incredible fights there. I mean, the Hamza and Gilbert fight, I think just was one of the greatest performances the Octagon has ever seen. I know a lot of times we talk about recent fights in that way, but for me it's like that fight will go down in history as one of the very best. And then of course, with the title fights, there was just so much special about that evening.
Yeah, Hamzat and Burns for sure did an amazing job there, and big respect for both fighters. After 10 days, everyone still talk about it.
Yeah.
And do you think that that fight overshadowed the victory of Volkanovski and Sterling in some way?
I don't know if it overshadowed it, but it definitely could have been a 5-round main event for sure. I think that, Volkanovski's dominant performance certainly can't be overlooked. And then, Aljamain winning the belt and solidifying that he is the champion in that manner was also really important. But it's hard to follow up a fight that is just a war, because Aljamain and Alex, they used a lot of technical prowess and they used a lot of strategy in their wins. And the fight before that with Hamza and Gilbert was really just a banger. So it's hard to follow that up. They're not the same. They're apples and oranges there.
Definitely. You know, you covered countless fights and games, as well as special events, including Mayweather-McGregor, UFC Press Tour, Saturday Night Live, Dancing with the Stars, host producer for The Exchange with Megan Olivi, UFC Connected, did I forget something? UFC Ultimate Insider. Yeah. So which of these was the most interesting for you to work on? Like, can you choose one?
They're all really different, but I would say when we got to go to Saturday Night Live, that certainly was like a legendary place and a venue that not a lot of people get to go into. And I was really honored because Rhonda and her team allowed us the access and told Saturday Night Live that we should be allowed in the building. So that was just kind of like a once in a lifetime. But everything I do, I feel really special for. So, even like a random football game on a Sunday is, to me, an incredible event. And every fight, even if it's a fight night in the Apex, I still love it. The world tours were crazy because we kind of flew around on these private jets and we were in different places every single day. So they all sort of have their unique and special thing. But yeah, probably SNL was the most memorable because not many people will get to have that opportunity in the way that I did.
Yeah, I mentioned Mayweather-McGregor event. That event was something different, something on another level. Also, Habib-McGregor event, and something incredible to watch, even to think about. So, can we expect something like that type of historic event in near future? Like, can that be comeback of John Jones?
I mean, yeah, if what Dana is saying, turns out to be true and comes to fruition, John Jones versus Stipe will be a special kind of fight. I think that they're both incredible athletes. For a long time, And still to
Yeah.
this day, many people think Stipe could be the best heavyweight the UFC has ever seen. John Jones, the greatest of all time, honestly. He's just such a talent. So I think if we were able to see those two go head to head, especially in July on those cards that are even more special because they are part of, our massive fight week, I think that certainly has everything for the making of a legendary lead up and then fight.
Definitely. You know, it's not easy to be a woman in combat sports. And I know you started this UFC journey. You have met with various comments and condemnations. And for example, like, what does she knows about MMA? She didn't even train MMA. Like, how can she ask anything? She have never fight, and comments like that. Do you think you earned respect by hard work and effort? And do you know at what point the audience started to believe you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think no matter what you do, especially when it comes to sports, you're going to be met with that type of criticism at times. But I think it's unfortunately like a lazy way to insult somebody, because for the majority of sports broadcasts, the people who are calling the broadcast or who are working the sidelines did not participate in that particular sport. I mean, you'll have things like Monday Night Football and, now it's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And of course, Troy Aikman, a legendary.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, we're back.
Yeah, something went wrong. I'm not sure what happened exactly.
No worries. I got Benny joining in with me.
Okay, so we talk about the point of the moment that audience started to believe you in your hard work and ethic.
I don't really know when they started to believe me, but I can tell you that after a few months of working at fights and doing interviews in different gyms and at different media events, I felt like that's when fighters started to respect me. They started to realize, oh, she's not just here to check a box. She's here because she's really good at her job. And I think that made a huge difference for me. And then I think it translated over into our interviews and how maybe the audience then perceived me as well.
I would like to follow up of this previous question. As the woman in the same world as you are, who were always in love with combat sports, and I can for sure say that you and Laura did definitely make it easier for other women in this job. And you built up the path and showed everyone that we are part of this for a reason, and thank you for that. Are you aware of that fact, of your huge impact?
I think it's very kind. I don't actually necessarily feel that way. I think about the women who paved the way for me, and somebody like Karen Bryant, who has been in, combat sports for a really long time, and who was literally the first person to be nice to me at these different UFC events. And she always looked out for me. And to this day, I think she still paves the way for a lot of people. And I think there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think the most important thing is to want not just yourself to grow, but all women to grow, and every person to be able to grow and have new experiences and not just feel ownership over, your thing. And so I like to think that there are a lot of people who came before, us. And I think, like I said, Karen Bryant comes to mind. Heidi Androl has been covering, she was covering Strike Force for a long time. And, I think it's really important to acknowledge those people who maybe don't get as much name recognition, or they don't get as much, public accolade for some reason, but they certainly set the table for us to continue to rise. And it's, as long as we continue to do our jobs to the best of our ability, people will see that there's no reason why a woman can't be in any of the roles that we want to do. And it's for us to build up for others to be able to do as well.
What was the most evil comment you heard about yourself, and how you overcome negative comments? Do you even read it?
No, I mean, I'd rather not dwell on those things, you know what I mean, or bring life to them, because there's always going to be something. I think if you look on your favorite fighters page or your favorite celebrities page, there's going to be rude comments there. There's going to be some great ones, and there's going to be some not great ones. I think it's the nature of the world with the internet, and you can't like give them much credence. Otherwise, it holds too much weight in your brain and your heart, and that's not helpful for anybody.
Someone said that hard work is more important than talent, and if someone has a talent, proudness will take it away, and hard work will create a talent. So do you agree with that sentence?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what can make people not reach their goals, is thinking they're already there or that they've got this. And, you know, whether it's a huge pay-per-view with Conor McGregor on the top of the bill, or it's a fight night in the Apex with a lot of newcomers, I think if you continue to put in the same amount of effort, you know, before, during, and after, those are the things that will pay off and last for a long time in terms of your career.
The first time I heard for MMA, I thought UFC is the another name for MMA, and which is partly true. At first, I didn't even get that UFC is a name of promotion, and that's unbelievable how huge impact UFC made through years on MMA development. So when you first find out about MMA?
The first fight I remember watching is Chuck versus Tito. I remember going to a friend's house and they had it on. They had like a finished basement and they had it on in their basement. They had a big party for it. And that was sort of my first exposure. But I remembered, like, the more I looked into it, the more I actually knew some people involved in the sport, because my brother was a wrestler, and he is a few years older than me. So some people that he wrestled with, you know, on the college scene, or different people who were standouts in his generation of athlete, were actually now fighting in the sport of MMA, or even some of them in the UFC. So I remember being like, oh, I know him, you know, and it was really interesting crossover for me, and a very easy concept for me to pick up because I grew up in a world of wrestling and boxing.
So now a couple of short questions.
Okay.
The best knockout you ever see in the UFC?
Well, probably the one that everyone makes fun of me for reacting to, but you know, Kevin Lee against Gregor Gillespie, probably that's what comes to mind first, at least. But I mean, the Holly Holm over Ronda Rousey, that was incredible, and I think like earth-shattering. You just felt it. Of course, Conor over Jose, because it happened so quickly, and it was just such madness in the lead up to it that you almost couldn't believe that's how it ended. So yeah, those are the ones that come to mind.
So the most awkward moment while you were on air?
Like all of them, all the time. I don't know. Every week I have them. So that's the thing, is like, I'll watch the shows back and I'm like, how do I even have a job? Like, I'm so weird. I mean, there's literally too many to name. But the thing about me is I try to just embrace them, and then I also try to forget them because it's like I can't do anything about it, and it's live TV. Things are constantly changing. People have no idea, you know, what we're hearing in our ears, what's going on behind the scenes, how many things that we are balancing and juggling to make it the broadcast everyone knows and loves. So unfortunately, there's always going to be imperfections, and you just have to roll with it. Like, shit gets awkward, and you know, it just happens.
The funniest fighter in the UFC?
Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of really funny fighters. I think if someone can show their sense of humor during fight week, when they're cutting weight and it's high pressure and high stress, then they are really, really a funny person. I mean, I think my husband's hilarious, so him. But Stipe is actually like one of the funniest people you will ever interact with. He is freaking hilarious. So yeah, I would say Stipe comes to mind at the top of that list.
Who is different person behind the camera?
That's a good question. I mean, I think for the most part, everybody's a little different. But I think in the maybe bigger way in which people are thinking, somebody like Colby, who, you know, in front of the camera, you see him one way. And then for us, he's always very easy to deal with and very easy to work with on my end, and always, you know, polite and everything. So I think what you see from Colby is not always who he is to us.
You got a chance to make a fight card with celebrities. Who would you like to see in Octagon?
Oh my God, I don't know, but maybe like some of the people that come to mind are just our fans. So like Mark Wahlberg and Mario Lopez, those guys are always there. Charlize Theron, she loves our fights and she
Wow.
actually actively trains. So I think that would be really cool to see her in there. Then it'd be fun, like Travis Barker, you know, because he's pretty skinny. So it's like, what could he do? Is he good at jujitsu? I don't know. So I think those are the ones that come to mind. Yeah.
If you're a young MMA athlete, whose career would you like to have?
Probably like someone like Daniel Cormier. I think Daniel did so many things the right way. You know, he pursued his dreams to become an Olympian. He was able to do so. He was captain of the Olympic team. And then to come into the UFC and sort of be counted out for the beginning of his career. Oh, he's small and he's this newcomer, whatever. And here he is, a 2-division champion. You know, he rose through the ranks as well. He wasn't just handed anything. You know, he came from Strikeforce and he was an alternate in the tournament. And then here he is, the light heavyweight champion of the UFC, the heavyweight champion of the UFC. Now he's a commentator and he's just has such brilliant insight, and he's such a genuinely good person for us to be around and work with, that if you are a young fighter or you're somebody who is interested in the sport, I would say follow the career path of Daniel Cormier and things will go well for you.
This question is not about MMA, but it's about big names from boxing. What do you think about Tyson Fury and Dillian White fight?
Oh, man. You know, I like Tyson Fury. I really enjoy watching him fight. I don't follow boxing probably as closely as maybe I should or that other MMA fans do, but I always enjoy watching him fight. I think he's a character and also a bit unassuming. Yes, he's this gigantic man, but sometimes you don't look at him and think, "Whoa, this is a world-class athlete." But once he's out there performing, you can certainly see it. And I think the way he has been vocal about his struggles with mental health issues is also so important for not just athletes, but particularly athletes in combat sports where they might feel the same way. But if you don't have someone vocalizing those things, you feel alone. And there are certainly other athletes who have been in the same place. There are other fans out there. And he's not ashamed to talk about the stigmas attached to it. And I think that more than anything, that is going to help so many people in their lives that you just can't help but have respect for it.
Yeah, so we got that opportunity to see how Joseph supports you, especially on Instagram story. We saw it. He literally watched every event you have, and the cutest thing is that type of hype he have, like, look at her, this is my wife, she is amazing, and that's the cutest thing I ever see. Okay. And do you two ever discuss about fights? Who is a better fighter? Do you usually agree or disagree about it?
Yeah, no, I honestly feel so blessed to have Joseph and his insight and his fight IQ to help me with my job. We talk about fights all the time. I mean, literally all the time. They're constantly on in our house. Every time a fight's announced, we talk about it. Every time I work a card, we go through the whole thing together. We usually agree, but once in a while we disagree. But his insight is genuinely so important to my career. And if I don't understand, hey, how did this guy do this? Or how did they pull this off? Or how did they work that transition? He will physically walk me through it so that I have the understanding of it. Even sometimes if I'm watching something on replay during an event and I'm still trying to like really work it out and calculate it in my mind, I'll say, hey, will you just like spell this out for me step by step? And it gives me such a solid base that, you know, I think my foundation is very steady in this sport, but he's an expert. And to have him able to, you know, be there and help me in my role, it's invaluable. But like his support is just, it literally is the best. It makes my day. Like, I'm like, you don't have to watch this card. Like, go do whatever you want. He's like, no, I want to see you. So it's the best. I'm very blessed.
So Where do you see yourself in a few years? Like, do you have a desire to achieve something else in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I hope to just continue to grow the roles that I have. So I hope you get to see more of, the stories that we tell during the broadcast. To me, it's really important. It's like my favorite thing I do. I hope to be able to continue to do more sit down interviews, and really, dig deep with a lot of these athletes. I hope to continue to grow my role with the NFL, because it's different from what I do with the UFC, and I also think it complements it very well. I would love to host some sort of morning show, or add that to my plate as well. So I just hope to continue to expand. For me, it's not about, like pivoting or doing something different. It's about continuing to make the things that I do better. And then, I just think it'd be really fun to add in like a daily show or a morning show where you can talk to people from different walks of life and expand the reach of how we feel about our sport in our community throughout the world.
Megan, it's a pleasure to talk with you. Too many good topics and never enough time for all of that. Thank you for sharing your time, and thank you for sharing your story. I hope you enjoyed.
Yes.
And send greetings to Joseph. We would like to chat with him in face-to-face. Next time, I heard about Ultimate Film Club.
Yeah.
And maybe he could share some news with us.
Oh, I'm sure he would love to. I just want to say thank you. And you are great. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. You're super talented. So obviously a very bright future for you on top of what you're doing now. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And we'll chat soon.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.